having me on Good Morning Uganda.
Thank you. Thank you for honoring the invitation.
Sure. You guys get up early.
Yeah, very
It's
early.
Very early.
Every weekday, it's up at 5 or up at 6, and you make sure that you're breaking dawn with everyone else.
Well, I'm glad to be here.
It's good to have you here. How are you doing?
I'm really well, actually.
You look well.
Oh, thank you.
Yes, you do.
Lucy.
You look amazing, actually.
Thank you.
So it looks like the media has shaped you along the way, or you have always been this sort of person, makeup, dressed to the nines, that sort of thing.
I'd like to think that I was born this way, but obviously not. Like you said, the media has really shaped me, but I think the industry has also taught us a lot of lessons across the years.
Okay.
So it's a lot of life lessons, a lot of work lessons, and also growing an industry that was virtually non-existent almost 15 years ago.
True. Wow. So you've been around for about 15 years. At least I've had the name for a while. Quite a while. Sophie on radio, Sophie here, Sophie doing the stint. So how long have you been around the media?
Well, shortly after high school, I got a call from a friend who more or less introduced me to a segment of the media that was existent at the time. And I got my foot in the door at a radio station and started from there doing voiceover work. And that sort of evolved to radio, then having my own show, and then into television and other aspects of the media that are more like behind the scenes, that are not necessarily, glamorous things that I got myself involved in.
Okay, you've been around quite a bit. So background scenes, what exactly do you do in the background scenes? I know I'm really going ahead of my questions, but you brought that aspect and I'd like to know.
To me, what has become the more exciting aspect of what I do is production. And that's audio, visual production, sometimes solutions that help the corporate community that are not necessarily a singer, actor, voiceover, or in front of the camera talent, which is what I'm really excited about lately.
So Sophie, you started out with radio, and what was it like back in the day? Because I'm sure that that was when we had just about 2 radio stations or so. How was it back in the day? Did you get training? Did you have people supporting you? What was it like?
Well, radio at that time, it felt very much like going to the playground to play at the time. If I can drop a couple of names, Roger Mugisha had just started in the industry. Some guy called Nash had also just started in this industry. Crystal was out, Cantankerous, and all these media personalities didn't quite know what to do with this art form that they had. So we were starting out not only with infrastructure like radio stations that had literally just started, but we also were getting to know who we were as personalities and what we could apply to the industry to be relevant and to be cool and funny and get paid for what we do. So it really was a work in progress. It was a learning experience, but I like to look forward more than I like to look behind, because I think in those days you'd literally get paid like 5,000 shillings to show up at an event. I mean, it's really evolved since then.
So tell me about the other media activities that you have been involved in.
Well, with what we do, you never know what's around the corner. I mean, from fashion shows to corporate event hosting, it's always a wide spectrum of what is asked of us as personalities in the media, alongside what we do every day, going to work, having your own radio show, having your own television show. We recently wrapped up a reality TV show that I really appreciated. It was something new, and we were looking for the next big thing in Kampala. And it occurred to me that there is still so much talent out there that needs to be developed. And so, which brought me to the next thought that we need to create avenues so that we can showcase all these talented people and they can have their say. There's room for everybody. I don't necessarily feel like just because I've achieved a certain amount of success that I can't pass that on to somebody who's joining the industry for the first time. But we're always looking for validation internationally. Yes, a lot of people locally have always been very supportive of what I do, but I think for me, one of the biggest moments that validated my journey was I was sitting with Cece Winans, the gospel singer, and we had a short conversation, and she actually said to me, "You are really good at what you do." And that really took me for a while, because she's been everywhere in the world, and she's been able to experience different cultures and different people. And for her to say that to me, just kind of validated what I do. And just meeting people of diverse backgrounds is also really quite exciting. Getting to understand their story and how they walk in this life, and how you complement one another in whichever way, I think is, some of the more exciting parts of what we do. But yeah, the journey still continues. I'm looking forward to it. Yeah.
So many people get worried, especially in the media, as they get older. They're worried that the younger generation is going to replace them. They are faster, they are quicker, social networks are on, and all these young people have such amazing ideas, like out-of-the-box ideas. Do you feel threatened?
I won't necessarily say I feel threatened. I think threatened implies an element of fear. And I don't think that we should be afraid of whatever is new. I think we need to embrace it and innovate wherever. But granted, all over the world, we're sensing a sense where artists no longer do business as usual. They adopt new ways of reaching their audiences, be it Twitter, be it Facebook, be it all these social media sites, and all these arenas that are created not necessarily face-to-face on radio platforms or TV platforms, or all these traditional media platforms that we've been used to. And I find it exciting. Once in a while, you do come across that one talent who really makes you feel like you need to step it up. But, that lasts only like 3 minutes, and then we share lipstick and it's over.
So the media has shaped you a lot, I'm
Yeah.
sure. Do you consider yourself a celebrity? It seems like the buzzword in Uganda. Do you have fans? Do you have people falling all over you, calling you up, stalking you, things like that?
Well, other people can always label you what they want. They can call you a celebrity or a person who's, a person of interest. And in the beginning, I was really uncomfortable with that label, because it implied that I was better than, because a celebrity gets certain perks, and, you walk through life in a different kind of way.
Special treatment.
Yes. And then I had a young guy call my radio show, and he called and he said, "Oh, I'm so glad I'm talking to a celebrity." And I said, "Don't call me a celebrity. I'm just, we're just talking." And then he brought some perspective. He said, "Anytime you bring light to whatever you do, you walk as a celebrity." So I said, "Okay, I'll take it."
So you took it.
So I took it.
Wow. So what can you say for people out there? What should they view of a celebrity? Say of you. Are you any ordinary Jen? Should you tell them that it takes a lot to be one? What is your final comment on that?
On celebrity, I think the truth is you are who you are. You do what you do. I'm just a little bit more visible than a lot of other people who do what they do in their lifestyle. The thing is, they always say, to whom much is given, much is expected. And for me, the expectation is just a little bit higher sometimes in the public eye.
Is it a personal expectation or your people's expectation?
It works both ways. It works both ways, because the public has certain expectations of me, but I also know that I've been given this opportunity to do something for the public. So it's walking that fine line that's always the problem. But don't get me wrong, I love the perks. I love everything that goes along with it, but I also understand the weight of the responsibility.
The weight of the responsibility. I know, I knew someone who once said that at times, if you're not yet there, you have to fake it to get there at times, or you'd have to dress the part even when you don't have it. Have you had to do any of those things?
Have I had to fake it to make it?
Fake it, say, try and dress good even when you have 2 shillings in your pocket.
I would not be honest if I didn't say I've had to fake it to make it. But I wouldn't call it faking it. I would say doing everything in my power to make sure that it's done with the resources that I have. And I think that's what the lesson really is that it's never going to be perfect. It's never going to be ideal. I will never have enough resources to invest in what I do. Tomorrow, I'm looking for more resources because that's just the way that we're built. But there are those days where you'd have to, like, think twice about what you're doing. But I never let that slow me down. It's really about using what you have and eventually getting to where you need to be.
What's on the agenda for your next best thing?
What's on the agenda? Well, the number one priority is to just keep it moving. A lot of people use that as a cliche buzzword all the time. Keep it moving, keep it moving. But I really mean it. I think that you have the responsibility to gather yourself, recognize your strengths, tap into your talents, present your passions to the world, and be able to be compensated for it. There's a time I told a friend that, he met me somewhere and he said, "Oh my gosh, I see you everywhere. I see you in the press, I see you in the newspapers, I see you in the magazines." And he said, "You must really be making money." And I said, "No, that's not really what it's about. It's about meeting your peak potential. It's about going further every single time." So the future, exciting.
Thank you so much, Sophie, for your time. It was a pleasure having you on Good Morning Uganda.
Most welcome. Thank you, Lucy. And I love this show. When I do get a chance to watch it, because it's so early.
I know.